Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are talking about why most people quit at the goals that they set for themselves. And it's not the reason why you think it is. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Flora, certified simplification coach and 7-time author. And for over 28 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life and a business that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear out the 9 types of clutter that are keeping you from enjoying the life that you have worked so damn hard to build. So before we get into it, please subscribe, follow this feed, hit that notification bell so that you know every single time an episode is released. Now, let's get into goal setting. This is the hot topic this time of year. Most goal setting conversations are usually obsessed with addition. What are you adding this year? What are you committing to? What's your next level? You guys know that I'm not about that. One of the most important questions I think we should ask is, what can your life actually hold? Now, yes, January typically is full of that optimism energy. But that optimism can kind of be misleading because when you set your goals, you're usually setting them in a space where you're very reflective. You make space for that goal setting time. So you feel like you have more time than what you actually do in your life. You have that best version of yourself energy kind of center stage. And a future version of you in your brain with more time, less interruptions, is usually the one that is making these goals, okay? When you're not accounting for what's already present in your life, this is where your goals that you set for the year quietly collapse. Goal setting is not about just what you want. It's about capacity. It's about time. It's about mental bandwidth. It's about emotional energy. It's about potential decision fatigue and the systems or lack of systems that are holding your life together. Most women, especially who are watching this, don't misjudge your ambition, but you might misjudge your capacity simply because of the amount of stuff that you have on your plate. This is mental clutter and this is process clutter at work. Too many decisions, too many priorities, too much friction, which then can cause the new things that you're trying to implement to not stick. So let's talk about the things that really no planner accounts for, and that is invisible obligations. These are the commitments that usually don't live on your calendar, but they drain your energy daily. So I want you to think of things like emotional labor that you provide without acknowledgement, responsibilities that you've inherited without choosing, maybe old agreements that no longer fit who you are, and also expectations that you quietly maintain just to keep the peace. Usually you don't consciously choose to keep carrying all of these, but they just stay. And these actually create a type of emotional clutter because every single unspoken obligation causes you physical and emotional and mental energy. So when you try to add a goal on top of all of this, you're not building momentum. What you're doing is you're stacking pressure. Even when you know you're overloaded, releasing all of these things can feel really, really hard because doing less usually doesn't feel neutral. It usually feels unsafe. Now, for many women, doing less triggers fears like falling behind or letting people down or losing the momentum in your life that you've built. And then a really big one is feeling like you're going to be judged if you start slowing down or if you release these obligations that have just been either put upon you or that you have silently decided to do. So instead of subtracting these things from your life, you just try to push harder and you try to optimize your way out of this feeling of being overloaded. And that is when exhaustion happens, and that is when the self-judgment kicks in. Now, there's something really important happening at the brain level when your goals fall apart. And this is something that I talk about in my book, The 1 Degree Shift. When you start a new habit or a new behavior, your brain loves it. Novelty is exciting. January feels energizing, so you're like, yes, I'm going to do this. And so what do? You set a new goal. And when you start a new goal, what happens is your brain's prefrontal cortex is like, oh, wait a minute, we're doing something new. So your brain's prefrontal cortex, which we all know is an energy hog, it uses a lot of blood glucose. So anytime you do anything new, whether it's a goal or travel or do anything outside of your normal routine, your brain's like, oh, wait a minute, I need to try to conserve energy. So what I'm going to do right now is spend extra energy seeking regularity, seeking some type of normality within whatever it is that you're doing every single day, so that whenever I see a pattern in the new thing that you're doing, I can program that in the basal ganglia as a neural pathway or as a synapsis, aka as a habit. So the first couple of weeks, it feels novel. It feels like you're putting in effort. It feels sometimes even hard and exciting at the same time to do this new habit because your prefrontal cortex is all lit up. It's finding those neural pathways that it can make so that, again, it can be more energy conscious. Because again, our brain likes to conserve energy as much as possible by storing the things that we do regularly in the basal ganglia in the form of a neural pathway called a synapsis. So after a couple of weeks, typically your brain doesn't light up as much because it's like, oh, we got this. This is starting to become a habit. Your basal ganglia is like, I got this. Good. So your prefrontal cortex is like, cool, I can relax a little bit. Then what happens is your habit starts to feel boring. It starts to feel a little less exciting. It starts to feel a little blasé. This is a good thing. When that new thing that we're doing, that new goal, that new habit, whatever it is, even releasing old stuff that we don't want to do anymore, even though it feels boring, it's still good. Keep doing it. This is when your habit is becoming efficient, which requires less effort, less thinking. This is when people get tripped up. When something becomes automated, it becomes boring. And most people think or associate boredom with failure. They think this must not be working anymore, so they stop right before the habit locks in. So I want you to share with me in the comments, when do you typically tend to quit a new habit? Is it right at the beginning when it's really fresh and exciting and it takes work and you're like, oh, and you have to literally like almost force yourself to do it? Or is it when things start to get boring and it doesn't feel as exciting anymore? Share with me in the comments. I want you to remember that boring isn't a signal of failure. It's often the moment that a habit is starting to work. And when your life is already overloaded and when you're carrying mental and emotional clutter, sometimes boredom feels intolerable and you're craving relief. You're not craving repetition. So instead of letting the habit settle, you look for a reset. You look for a new plan, a new system, a new goal. This is the same cycle. So here's the part that matters. Habits don't fail because people lack self-discipline. Habits fail because typically your lives are too full to support the repetition. If your nervous system is overloaded, if your days are packed with invisible obligation, and if your systems are strained, there is no room for a habit to quietly embed where it needs to. This is where process clutter disrupts your consistency. This is where mental clutter drains your focus. This is where emotional clutter convinces you that something isn't working when it actually is. I need you to remember that your brain craves boring consistency. When we do new things, our brain is an energy hog. That's why anything new that we do, even once, twice, 20 times, the prefrontal cortex tries to find repeating patterns to store as neural pathways, aka synapses, that it can store inside the basal ganglia so that it is freed up to monitor and do all the things. And when your life is so packed with things, your brain gets so depleted, and then you get what's called decision fatigue. And I've done many, many podcast episodes about that. And the honest truth is that your life needs simplicity in order for boredom to be tolerable, and that's the disconnect. So here's the gap that I want you to notice. Knowing you're overloaded is not the same thing as knowing what to release. That's the integration gap. Awareness without clarity leads to more force, more self-judgment, more abandoned goals, and eventually you're going to stop trusting yourself. Not because you're unreliable, but because you keep asking too much of a system, your brain, and your life that's already too full. It's too full. So one of the things that I talk about in the 1 Degree Shift is that real change does not come from dramatic overhauls. It comes from those little tiny, small, repeatable shifts that don't require constant motivation. That's literally the 1 Degree Shift in a nutshell. Is just one tiny little shift that you can make every single day. And a lot of the time, the shift is just choosing to not do something. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's very subtle, but it's very sustainable. And sustainability always starts with subtraction. Because if everything is important, nothing gets the chance to become automatic. So I want you to think about something. If your life is already full and you want to create new habits, what are you willing to give up to make room for the new habits to fit into your life? I really want you to think about that, okay? If your life is already full and you want to create new habits, let's just say that you want to create a new habit of going on to Substack every day and reading 3 articles and posting once. Okay, if your life is already full, how much time do you think that's going to take you? And let's just say it's going to take you 30 minutes. So where do you have a 30-minute pocket of time that you can put that in? If you want to start going to the gym every day, let's just say it's going to take an hour and a half. Do you have an hour and a half, that pocket of time that you could insert you going to the gym? So if your life is already full and you want to create a new habit, what are you willing to give up to make room for the new habit to fit into your life? Again, goals don't need motivation. They need room in your schedule. So again, share with me in the comments one goal that you want to start doing and one thing that you think you might be able to give up to make room for this new habit or new goal to take hold. If you're not quite sure which type of clutter is getting in the way of your ability to get clarity on this, I've created a clutter clarity quiz for you. It takes less than 2 minutes and it's only 9 questions. Click the link in the comments to take the quiz. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, follow this feed, and hit that notification bell so you know every single time an episode is released. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah.